Hello everyone, my name is Rocio von Jungenfeld and I'm a lecturer in digital media at the School of Engineering and Digital Arts here at the University of Kent. I am part of the research group Intelligent Interactions, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my research in the area of digital arts and more specifically about the role of technology in the production of participatory digital artworks. My research focuses on art in public space, and this means that I sometimes, very often, have to deal with several components. This means that I have to work in a multidisciplinary context and that I deal with devices, technology, digital content, as well as with humans, people, and with their interactions with each other, with the interactions that they have with the technology itself, and also their interactions with the environment. I'm interested in understanding how we, humans, and the things around us share and perceive the world, and in how all these things, the human and non-human things, are constantly shaping and co-creating each other and co-producing the environments. The big question for me really is, how do we integrate digital artworks into the environment? And also, how do we incorporate them into everyday life? In order to do this, I look at how we can use public space to share and collectively interact with technology. In my research, I started by looking at how to use the metaphor of the wool thread, as you can see in this image, to enable me to connect physical sites and digital content. But this metaphor, which I base on the work of Professor Tim Ingold, can only take us so far. It is at least a starting point. I became curious about how to detach digital artworks from the physical constraints of architectural spaces. By this I mean, how can we detach digital artworks from a room which has electricity and therefore power sockets? How can we take the work somewhere else? My goal is to enable people to move around, to walk in a particular site, and more importantly, I want people to be co-producers of the artworks rather than consumers. This has led me to produce a series of video walks for public space, and working with such sites, for instance, a park, a public building, has several challenges. But it enables us to test how different displays and how the different number of devices that we might have an effect on the way that participants act and perceive the work, and also about the interactions between participants and the things that are present in the environment. So for instance, while using a digital screen, like most of us have, we tend to kind of retreat into what Ito, Ganabe, and Anderson call cocoons. So we have all seen this. We all very often are the ones that retreat into these cocoons. And yeah, we focus on the screen and we are physically present here, but in fact, we are somewhere else. We are somewhere in between. On the other hand, we could also use projections to enhance the environment, to project out in the environment. And I'm going to give you a demonstration with a projection. And I'm going to ask to get the lights down if possible. So let me introduce you to the little projector. You can basically use the projector because it's portable, you can go anywhere. You can take it with you as you walk along, and you can use any surface around you which is within reach of the projector to use it as a projection screen. So we can see that we can use our flesh, our skin as a projection screen. We could use our clothes, and then you can also go and project onto any surface. You can project on the floor as you walk, or you can project on a tree or on a bench or anything that really is around you. And you don't have to be physically static. You can move with it. And then you can use the wheel to kind of focus your image depending on how far away from the surface you are. And you can turn it as well. So you can use your body to modify the projection depending on the surface. Very often people try to match the textures that are in the environment with the images that are projected. So on the other hand, when digital content is projected onto the environment, the action happens somewhere else, happens outside this device. This opens the possibilities of merging the physical and the digital. And it also opens the possibilities for sharing the experiences and co-producing digital artworks. When we have the projection available, or when there is media embedded into the environment, it is much easier to become part of it and to become part of this shared experience. Part of my research involves developing tools and methods to analyze the interactions between the different things that are part of a particular environment or a site. In control environments, human-computer interaction researchers often use a combination of biometric measuring approaches. But in public space, this is really tricky. Gathering this type of data is difficult. For instance, gathering heart rates or eye movement or brain activity, it's really complicated, if not almost impossible. Especially if we take into account the number of participants that we might have invited to a particular event like a video walk, or if we take into account that the specific conditions of a site would make this very challenging. For instance, a park at night. In order to overcome this challenge and drawing on discourses that are established about how things are interconnected, I have developed a method that enables me to analyze visual documentation, the results from video walks. This audiovisual documentation serves as evidence of the interactions between the different agents in a site. So it serves as evidence of the interactions between humans, technology, and the site. The method consists of a three-lens approach. Okay, 1, Tim Ingalls' spider approach. 2, Bruno Latour's ANT, actor network theory approach. Then 3, Manuel de Landa's assemblage approach, which he bases on Deleuze and Guattari's work. And yes, this might all seem very abstract and theoretical, so let's not dwell on it, and look at some concrete examples. Here is an example of a spider approach. This means that we look into the documentation and we follow one particular thread. And we look at how this thread develops over time, and we are looking from within this thread, so within this footage, at how the actions are interconnected. An example here, where we are following a camera that it's going along with participants on this video walk. So we are recording along with those people that are experiencing the work. Here is an example of ANT, actor network theory approach. And this means that we look at one particular instance of our raw footage. We look at one frame from all this footage that we have. And there, we look at the connections between the things, between the actors in the image. And we look at it from a detached point of view. So we are not inside the thread. We are really literally outside. We are outsiders to this frame. If we look at this example, we can see that there is a hand, there is a bench, there is a projection, there's a light beam, there's an image, a plate, some droplets. There's several elements that are actively creating this image. And they're all contributing and acting in a way. Here is another example. And in this one, I've selected some instances from raw video footage where, although there's different instances in the event, they are very similar in the way that the actors, so the different things in the frame, are performing the roles. So we have some projections, some faces, people, and the things in the site are acting in a similar way. have similar roles. And then 3, assemblage approach. And what this means is we follow multiple threads simultaneously, but at the same time what we are doing is we are finding a point in which these different threads are converging, and we analyze those instances. So for instance, what we want to look at is how different agents strengthen or modify the relations over time. In this image, we have 2 people that are participating at the same time, and they are converging on this one element, which is the images that you see below. And they are looking at this event. We are looking at this event from 2 separate perspectives. We are following the perspective and the point of view of the person on the right and the perspective of the person on the left. We can see the images that they are producing, they're just below, and they are colliding, their threads are converging, and we can look at how these 2 threads converge and come together and analyze how they are related. From an assemblage point of view, we can also look at how things are simultaneously part of several assemblages. So for instance, in this case we'll see a bag, and this bag is normally a carrier. So it has the belongings of the person that is carrying it. So it has this role of being a carrier. But at the same time, like we can see here, it becomes a projection surface. So it can play different roles. It can have different roles depending on what aspects of itself are activated. Moving on and building on this 3-lens method approach, I want to talk to you about Leessuchende, which is an ongoing project in collaboration with Dr. Dave Murray Rust from the Design Informatics at the University of Edinburgh. And we are investigating the relations between robotics and robot creatures, humans, and the environments that they share and co-create. As you can see here, you can see Leessuchende in action. Leessuchende is a photokinetic installation which invites people to use a torch to interact with a society of light-seeking robots. My collaborator Dave and I are currently looking at visual footage that we gathered to investigate how different points of view converge in this installation. So we gathered footage from different points of view, different agents in the installation. We gathered footage from a detached point of view, from the person's point of view, from the little robot's point of view, to see how these elements are connected and where they converge. Our aim is to better understand these relations between the agents, to understand how they see, react, and relate to each other and create this world. As an early career researcher based at the School of Engineering and Digital Arts, I feel supported to continue investigating how humans and technology interact and co-create their environments. Thank you very much.